Salve Latin 2 students. Thanks for coming in to go over your assignment today. I wanted to help you out with it and make sure you're understanding chapter 36. It is our last chapter of the year. It's a big one. It finishes up comparison, so I want to help you guys master it. Make sure you've already done exercise A before we go over this now, because I'm going to kind of explain things, but if you've tried it, even if it wasn't perfect, it helps you very, very much, and then I'll tell you now how to do each one of these. If you still have some questions after we go over the assignment and my video doesn't explain or I didn't get into what your question was, please bring your question to my office hours. I'm happy to talk to you there and answer any questions I may have missed, okay? So this chapter is all about comparing adverbs, positive, comparative, and superlative adverbs, and we have a new construction called the ablative degree of difference, and exercise A just goes into various ways to translate these and various constructions and whatnot. So I'll take you through them. The first one is much more fiercely. Now, more fiercely would be a comparative adverb because, of course, it ends in ly, so it sounds like it's modifying the verb, which is what adverbs do. But you also have to add much more fiercely. This is going to be the ablative degree of difference because it describes how much more fiercely. Is it a little more fiercely, much more fiercely? So that you have to do the ablative here. So what I came up with was molto acrius or molto ferius, because either of those words can mean fiercely. Now, what did I do here? I put these in a comparative adverb. Remember, the comparative adverb looks just like the neuter comparative adjective, so it ends in ius typically. And then molto is always the word that's going to mean much when it's used with a comparative. So molto means much in the sense of ablative degree of difference, okay? If you had wanted to say a little more fiercely on the other end, you would say paulo. That's the other word that you use a lot with this construction. It's paulo. Okay, so that's the first one. Number two, as fiercely as possible. So this one's really not too hard. If you see as whatever is possible, you're going to use the word quam followed by the superlative. Excuse me. It's always quam with the superlative. So if you're doing that, is this an adverb or an adjective? Fiercely. It's an adverb, right? Because it is an ly. So I used a superlative adverb. I said quam acerime. That's the superlative adverb. See the e, or quam ferissime. Again, this word also means fierce. Got to have the quam there. If it was just acerime, it would just mean very fiercely. But quam acerime makes it mean as fiercely as possible. Okay, so that's one we'll start seeing. Number three is a little more often. This one's going to be more often, but a little. So it's going to be another one of those ablative degree of difference. So this one you came up with, hopefully, saepius paulo. This is the comparative. This is the word for more often. And then paulo here means by a little more often. So that's why it's ablative. It's ablative degree of difference. And comparative adverb here. Okay. Number four, as soon as possible. This one's an idiom, so you had to remember back to my notes. I did give you this in the notes. You might have thought of like, is this mox or something? What's going on here? But it's actually an idiom, which is quam primum. So there's not a deep grammatical explanation for this. You do need to know the idiom. It looks like as first as possible, but of course that doesn't make that good of sense. So it means as soon as possible. That's an idiom you'll see going forward. Where is he? Now number 5 and 6 kind of go together. I'll explain the difference. Where is he is something we could have translated in Latin 1. It's not too bad, right? Hopefully you said ubi est or something like that. Remember, you don't need the ne here because the ubi is an interrogative word, so it doesn't need ne to be added onto it. Now number 6 looks similar. It's not where is he, but number 6 is where is he walking. What is the difference here between 5 and 6? Think about it for a sec. The difference, where is he walking? And number 5, you're in one place, it's stationary. Where is he? And number 6, you have movement. Where is he walking? So there's a different word for where that's where to, right? When you're moving towards somewhere, where are we going? Where is he walking? So I had to use the word for that, which is quo. And I put quo ambulat. Ubi would not be correct here because again, it has to be quo. Ubi is only used when you're in one place when it's stationary. And the verb is present, so I made ambulat present tense. Again, no ne because quo is innately an interrogative word. Sometimes they put on these assignments two kind of together so you can see the difference between them. That's also the case with number 7 and 8. Number 7 is after many years. We also could have done this one in Latin 1. This is going to be the preposition post, and post takes the accusative, right? So post multos annos. That's how you say after many years. Number 8 sounds similar, but it's not quite the same. Many years later. With this one, you're saying it's a later time period, but by many years. How much later? Could be a few minutes later, could be an hour later, could be many years later. So this right here, it doesn't sound like it at first, but it's ablative degree of difference because it's telling you how much later. So those words had to be in the ablative. Later is post, and then ablative by many years, multis annis. And remember, it doesn't have to be years. The ablative degree of difference could be 5 minutes later. It could be 3 days later, right? Anytime you're saying how much later or how much sooner or how much of anything, that is the degree of difference we've been working on. So 7 and 8 also ones you want to kind of compare to each other and make sure you understand the difference because they sound kind of similar. They are not quite the same thing though. Number 9 was on the right wing. You had to remember the word for wing, which we learned a while back. It was a fourth declension neuter word. In fact, the only fourth declension neuter word. The trick here is you might think of using the word in, which is understandable because it says on. Usually that is the word in, but this is a specific construction, a specific idiom we learned previously. So on the right wing is actually the preposition a instead of in. So here we have a dextro cornu. Notice how a takes the ablative. I put both these words in the ablative. Why don't they have the same ending, the two words? Because dextro is second declension and cornu is fourth declension. But they are agreeing. They are both ablative, neuter singular. And this, of course, refers to like usually the wing of an army on the right wing, the soldiers on the right wing. And finally, number 10. 2 paces longer. This one's also an ablative comparison because it's describing how much longer, right? So you need two paces to go into the ablative. Longer is comparative. Okay, I'm trying to say comparative. So 2 paces longer. So here I did the comparative longior duobus passibus, longer by 2 paces. These are the ablative plural. Okay, so this chapter isn't that much complicated stuff, but there's just like some little fine details that'll mix you up if you don't realize this versus this. A lot of these are kind of fine little differences that we need to nail down before the next quiz. So make sure you're looking at each assignment and doing your best. And tomorrow I will return to go over the next assignment with you. So again, try your hardest on those. Those are going to be kind of more full sentences to give you some practice, not just of these small phrases like today. So I hope you guys are doing well. Come see me if any of these didn't make sense or you just have an additional question. I'm in my office hours every day at 10, and I love to talk to you guys. And then tomorrow we'll finish up the week going over the next exercise, the full sentences, okay? Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Walete.